The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he's feeling a little electrified. Welcome, Jacob.
Yeah, good. Ow. Okay, that hurt again. Like, Dealer, what did you do this time?
She can't talk at the moment because the sound is still playing, but
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I'm sure she'll have something to say here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, but gosh, that hurt. It was like I'd be like, I drank that potion the last time and be like, I turned into a dog and now I'm getting electrocuted. What's the deal?
What did you say to her?
I don't know. I didn't do anything.
I mean, you can't even understand her in the first place. That's
No.
what's weird.
Maybe I said something that had offended her. If I did, I apologize. But why am I getting mistreated all of a sudden?
I don't know. I
right.
really don't know.
Okay. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who, just wants his best bud back, and now he's going to use electricity to bring him back to life. Welcome, Drew.
See how that works.
Don't do that again.
Just making sure you're awake, that's all.
How
How are you doing, Jacob?
Minus the sting in my neck now, I'm good. Very good. I'm actually doing fantastic. It's been a great week. Looking forward to the weekend. So, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm also looking forward to the weekend and the week after because I will have some time off.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Talk more about that when I get back.
Yes.
But, yeah. So, before we get too much farther into this, Jacob, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been watching?
Why, thank you, Deedlet.
That's not what you usually say coming out of that.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Sorry, I was thinking the other segment. I'm sorry. Because I can't hear it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so technically for you guys, your listeners, we're having audio issues. So Drew is
let me retag it, and that way you can come back.
Yeah, recut. Thanks, patrons.
What have you been watching?
All right, so what have I been watching? I just finished watching Frankenweenie for this review, and I'm on Disney Plus watching the movie, and I was like, it gave me recommendations like, you know what? Like, I've never seen this movie before. Why not watch it? It's called Treasure Planet. I've never seen the film before. And one of our listeners, Heather, thank you so much for everything you do. She always tags me in Facebook posts for news coming out. So thank you again, Heather. And apparently Treasure Planet is one of her favorite Disney films. I'd never seen it. Obviously it's based after Treasure Island. So I watched it. It was good. It was a fun little film. But if you ever watch, Treasure Island, you understand the very large synopsis of this movie, but it's done very well and it's one of those early 2000 films that kind of just got
it's right there where the Renaissance was ending, but before the Dark Ages really got started.
Yeah.
Or the short Dark Age that was the mid 2000s.
Yeah. Now, granted, there's some good movies in that
right.
Dark Age.
It's just there's a lot of bad ones too.
Yeah, a lot of bad ones.
Not necessarily bad, just weak.
Yeah, very weak films. Unlike the 80s, that era, but anyways.
Most of those are just underrated.
Agreed, they are just underrated. Oh my gosh, we've reviewed some of them.
We reviewed a lot of them already. I think if I were to go back and look, I think there's only 3 left. One of them is Rescuers Down Under. Definitely doing that soon.
Definitely 90s. Good movie.
It's right there at the end of that section. And then we also still got, I think, Fox and the Hound is somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And there's another one that's there, and I can't think of what it is right off the top of my head.
but we can talk about that later.
We'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about it later.
There's another one, and I can't think of what it is because we've done a couple of these.
And some of our listeners are probably screaming, "This movie, you knuckleheads!"
Oh, probably.
But I watched that. It's a really good movie. There again, it's slightly underrated as a film. It's really well done, and it sticks close to the source material, but gives its own nice little twist and turn to it as a storyline.
Right.
But other than that, it's a lot of. I did watch for I think the Monster Island Film Vault, where me and Drew guest hosted.
We just got back the other day.
Yeah, we did. Boy, was that frog bumpy.
Oh, yeah.
We reviewed Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie from 1995. That is a nostalgia trip beyond
Definitely
belief.
a nostalgia trip. And I'll get to make that trip one more time when I get back from my vacation.
Nice.
For Retro Rewind podcast.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
And Nate's from Monster on Film Vault's going to be on that episode too.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to be Power Rangered out by the end of this month. Specifically with this movie.
Yeah. And also he does the Power Trip was also another podcast he does.
They're coming up on like they just started the Neo Saban era.
Oh gosh.
You know, the 2 bad seasons.
Really bad. what I've seen and what I've heard.
They just released their Super Mega Force episode. I haven't listened to it yet, but they say it's their longest episode.
Really?
And the previous longest episode was 4 hours.
Jeez.
And when they go 4 hours, they are not gushing.
Wow.
They are ripping it to shreds. So I can only imagine what they're ripping this one to shreds is, because those 2 seasons are pretty bad.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is sad when you consider the actual Sentai seasons they're based on, but we're not here for talk about that.
True. So, yeah. So I think that's most of what I watched. I'd be like obviously watching YouTube. I think there's a YouTube channel like YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
Not YouTube.
That's why I was confused.
Yes,
Mewtwo.
I'm trying to catch a very powerful Pokemon.
You're not a fan of Pokemon. Why would you be looking at Pokemon?
I don't know.
Throw me off.
No, YouTube channel called The Casual Criminals. It's also a podcast where it's the host Simon Whistler, who is known for Biographies, with another channel he does, where he does
a lot of stuff.
He does a lot of stuff. And he's got I think it's 9 shows. No, it's 12 no, I counted it. It's 12. 12 shows he does. It's just nuts. But oh my gosh. He be like, I was just personally one with Ed Kemper. Be like, because I love true crime, and oh my gosh, that's freaking scary what that guy did. Wouldn't recommend if you were very squeamish. Let's just say that. But yeah, I really enjoy true crime and listening to him, talk about true crime, and it's a cold read. So it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch, and it's slightly frightening in some cases. But overall, I really enjoy watching The Casual Criminals and a lot of his other shows because it's very educational. Other than that, yeah, that's all I've been watching. Yeah, trying to draw more and a whole bit. So yeah, take it away, Drew. What have you been watching?
Outside of also watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Yeah.
And of course, Frankenweenie, and these 2 episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks. Also watched the most recent episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. And it was a good episode. We actually, it was a nice throwback to Deep Space Nine.
Really?
Yeah. You don't have to know anything about Deep Space Nine, but I guarantee you when we get to that episode in a couple weeks, I'll tell you all you really need to know to get that episode. But
I gotcha.
They just happen to be visiting and you get right down to it.
Oh, okay.
There is some stuff that involves that's the nice thing about the current seasons. They actually have a lot of characters from the other shows reprising their roles. As
I heard about that.
Guest stars. And some of them get into the same kind of shenanigans they got on in their shows, I'll just say.
Okay.
But also besides that, I watched a new movie that came out on Disney Plus last weekend.
What would that be?
Hocus Pocus 2.
Really?
I did sit down to watch that as I was cooling down from the day at work before I had to start getting ready for our trip to film the Monster
Monster
Island
and
Film
Film
Vault.
Vault.
And man, that is a movie.
That's a movie.
I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie. It's just the things I liked about how the first movie handled the occult and witchcraft and all that, they kind of just threw away in this one to be modern.
Oh, okay.
All I'm really gonna say. But other than that, it was kind of a fun movie. The fact that you've got there's how in the first movie two of the witches are on brooms, but the other one is on like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Well, in this one of them's on the good broom. One is on a Swiffer wet jet.
Oh yeah, I've seen the clip of this.
And the third one is standing on top of two Roombas. And the Roombas have minds of their own.
Oh my gosh.
And come up a lot. In fact, they're one of the reasons the witches were able to actually get out and do their thing at one point. Because at one point they're trapped in a circle of salt.
Oh gosh.
From the first movie.
Yeah. And
the Roombas come up and vacuum all the salt away so they're able to get out.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think Roombas are that. I mean, they're pretty strong things, but as high as you dumped that salt on there, I don't think they could vacuum that up that fast.
No.
But anyway, it's not a great movie. It's your standard kind of 90s nostalgia trip, but for what it was okay.
I got you.
Also, on Saturday morning after we got back from the Monster Island Film Vault, I got to re-engage with something from this spring that I highly enjoyed. Spy Family Saturday.
Oh, okay.
First episode of part 2, in other words, episode 13 of season 1 came out, and we review a lot of stuff with dogs on it.
We do.
And I like a lot of the dogs that we've reviewed. The dog on this show has them all beat.
Oh, really?
Even Scooby.
Oh, okay.
Because Scooby runs from danger.
Yeah.
Bond, on the other hand, saves you. Yeah, his name is Bond. Actually, in the show, they have not named the character yet, but I've seen the manga. It's Bond. Named after the main character of her show that she enjoys watching, Spy Wars.
Okay. they are
the logo is very Star Wars-esque too.
Wow. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a show we are definitely going to have to do a TAS on eventually.
Yeah.
But Bond is not just a good boy, he's best boy.
Okay. Be like I shall see.
Yes. Well, I'll put it this way. Most dogs that act like dogs in shows, they, even when they're being shown as intelligent breeds and they do things that, they act like intelligent dogs, they're not as intelligent as Bond.
Oh, okay.
Bond actually feels like a full fleshed out character. Most of the time, dogs really don't feel like fleshed out characters unless
they're sidekicks.
And technically Bond is a sidekick on the show, but even with only having one word to say as his entire vocabulary, Borf, because he's a big Pyrenees.
Oh, Borf.
Well, it's actually in the subtitles it says Borf.
Oh, Borf.
Borf. When he barks, there's a part in there where, because like the way this show works, he has slight precognition.
Oh,
he
no.
can slightly see the future.
Oh, gosh.
And of course, Anya can read his mind. So there's one point where all you hear Bond say is Borf, and I says, telephone? What telephone? 3 seconds later, the telephone rings. And while the camera is focusing on the other people in that room looking at the telephone, you can, if you're looking where Anya and Bond are. Bond is pulling her away by her shirt sleeve off screen, and then they go, "Where'd she go? Where'd the little girl go?" And you go, and Anya is holding on for dear life on the back of this dog, and as they're running away. Of course, Bond, bless his heart, is just a dog. He kind of goes in circles, which is unfortunate. But at one point, when Anya starts getting, understanding what's going on to some degree, she goes and starts she pulls herself onto Bond like a person,
a personal mount,
onto a horse,
yeah,
and is riding this thing like a hunter going after a fox.
My gosh,
it was one of those. And the thing is, you think this is stupid,
yeah,
especially from what I'm describing. But that's not how the writing in this show works. It makes sense, and it's very well written.
Okay.
I'm having to explain too much as part of the problem. But yeah, if you have not watched any of Spy Family and you have Crunchyroll, go watch Spy Family. It's a great show. The subtitled version is on Hulu, but the dub I don't think has been released off Crunchyroll yet.
Okay.
But yeah, great show. Love that show. And that's pretty much all the TV I've been watching.
Okay.
I have been watching a YouTube channel where this guy is playing Mario Maker 2. Super Mario Maker 2. That's the full name of the game, but that's not as interesting. Mostly it's just something to have on while I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but there is something else I've been watching. We talked about during Bad Movie Month.
Yeah. How
some of those movies I got from watching Nostalgia Critic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been watching back through some of his stuff recently, and he had back when the pandemic started, he did a couple of reaction episode videos to a bunch of dark tunes, things that are for kids. They are very much for kids, but some of them are extremely dark. Like, seeing Mickey Mouse getting tortured.
Oh, okay.
Pluto going to hell.
Oh, yeah, those.
Tom and Jerry, Tom going to heaven and having to get Jerry to forgive him for Tom bullying him.
Mm-hmm.
Things of that nature.
Wow.
And they've done some newer stuff too. Like they've done a couple of the SpongeBob episodes that have been fairly dark, because that show actually can get dark from time to time.
Yeah.
And a couple other things. So it's not just the old stuff, but still watching some of that old stuff, it's like, wow, the even if there is no real story to this, the animation is pretty a lot of times, especially with the really old stuff where the animation was the reason you were watching. Like the old like the old Betty Boop cartoons.
Yeah.
Things of that nature.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I've been watching some of that, and I think that's about it. I don't think there's been anything else. So why don't we go ahead and head into the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, D-Lit. I think me and D-Lit are going to have to talk after all this electrical shock thing.
I don't know why you're mad, D-Lit. He's asking for forgiveness.
Exactly. That's all.
She said she'd think about it.
Think about it. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I still don't know what you said.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out too. But
D-Lit, what did he say that got you so riled at him?
Exactly.
That's for you to know and him to find out. Oh, thank you. That helps a whole lot.
Ow. Okay, this is going to be a fun... Yeah, let's get in the news, shall we?
Yeah, let's just do that.
All right. So apparently our boy, I'm going to butcher his name to death, but he's an amazing director. Makoto Shinkai?
Makoto Shinkai, yeah.
Makoto Shinkai.
He's got another movie coming, I know.
Yeah,
we need to do some more of his stuff too.
Yeah, Suzumi. Yeah. What I discovered, so Comics, Wave Films, Story, and Toho have released the new trailer for Your Name and Weathering with You, Makoto Shinkai. Am I saying?
Yeah.
Close enough. His latest film, Suzumi. This just released the preview, which announced the Japanese voice actors, and don't know when it's coming out, but there again, we reviewed both these movies,
and we're definitely looking at covering his older stuff. This is one of those few things. It's like, oh, Makoto Shinkai's got a new movie coming out. I don't need to see a trailer. Let's go watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll see a trailer. I'll watch it because I am curious what we're going to be looking at. But in order to sell me on going to a theater to watch it, that's not necessary.
True. I watched some of the trailer. It looks really good because there again, this guy's amazing artist. His visual storytelling is incredible. So yeah, if this, but obviously, hopefully it comes out, they dub it, and whoever,
I'm sure they will.
Whoever's gonna distribute it here in these, probably G Kids will.
G Kids did Weathering with You. Technically, Funimation, now Crunchyroll, did Your Name.
Oh, okay.
But it was all dubbed in New York.
Oh, okay.
New York AV did all the dubbing for both of those.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
weird, but anyway.
So yeah, that movie's coming out. I'll have to give you more date later, but yeah, it looks good because there again, it's his work and he's always very good. And so yeah, we'll definitely do a reaction to it at some point. We'll let you know.
Indeed.
All right, so we got a new trailer for Stranger Things, but Stranger World from Disney, from the Walt Disney Company. That looks really good. That movie will be coming out on November 23rd of this year, I believe.
Right.
So yeah, we will definitely, because if you've seen the trailers to this movie or the posters to it, it looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, definitely looking forward to it and see what this movie's really about. That I was gonna say that was gonna be the end of the news, but it's not.
No, there is one more.
There is one thing that I know that Drew is excited about. I am as well.
Well, and basically, we record this on Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and Nintendo announced today
Mm-hmm.
that on Thursday they're doing a special Nintendo Direct for the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because of weird timing, it's going to be 2 weeks until we actually would get to talk about it under the show under normal circumstances.
Right.
So instead, we're going to cut away here to us in the future, and we're going to give you our thoughts right quick. All right, thanks, Drew from the past. We just got done watching the direct for the Super Mario Brothers movie. Jacob, what did you think of this?
Man, that was freaking amazing. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
With the hype, we learned about the cast, I think, early on last year.
Yes. About a year ago. It was like mid-September last year.
Yeah. So obviously, we just watched the Nintendo Direct for the first movie trailer, and dude, this thing is freaking epic.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be good.
It sets up so much of, like you said, the Mushroom Kingdom, like I am terrible with names. The man who created Mario,
Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah, Shikiro.
Just say Miyamoto.
Miyamoto. Okay, Miyamoto.
That's easier.
But it's just like I enjoy where it's be like Bowser shows up on this ice world or ice planet, what have you. Mm-hmm. And it's just like this, it's like epic music and Bowser's introduction. And you think it's like, oh, okay, we're going to get more like Po from Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
That kind of Bowser, that kind of,
I was
Jack Black
expecting more of that kind of Bowser. But no, we got like, honestly, it actually sounds better than the one other time Nintendo in an official property had Bowser voiced.
Yeah.
Outside of just, growls and such.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does have a voice in the game Super Mario Sunshine.
Really?
And it's not that good a voice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but this voice was very impressive. It was very impressive. Jack Black did a very good job.
Oh, yeah.
And even before they, officially just talked about or showed the first trailer, it was literally Jack Black and Chris Pratt talking about they're so excited about being here, and I was like, it's great when you see the voice actors having fun with the performance, because I think we talked about it a few minutes ago, where on the original live action movie they were kind of intoxicated,
they were drunk.
Yeah.
John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins.
There we go.
John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins, who played the original Mario Brothers. The production on that was so bad they did literally get drunk.
Wow.
And I'm sure Nintendo would prefer we forget that movie existed.
Right.
But what I'm seeing in this, they both look like they're having fun doing this. It doesn't feel like they were trying to be quiet and not talking about the things that Nintendo wouldn't want them to talk about.
Right.
If some drama happened, on set.
Yes.
This actually looks like maybe they had some good times with. So maybe, just maybe, this is going to be a good, fun time.
Yeah, it's like how they were saying, but like how the world building the whole bit. Because for me, I've played a little bit of Mario.
Yeah.
And this sounds interesting because they're bringing in Donkey Kong.
Yeah. The rest of the cast, they weren't in this trailer, but you've got Donkey, you've got, I think they said Diddy was in this.
Yeah.
And you've got some they even had on that cast list from a year ago, they even talked about having someone's voicing Foreman Spike, which is a deep cut.
Yeah.
Considering that's a character from an NES game called Wrecking Crew that is only reason it's connected to Mario is because they used the Mario sprite for the player character.
Oh, okay.
So, because this was at a time when they just used everything.
I gotcha.
Or Mario for everything. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to this. I kind of wish I got what they were saying. They gave us a little bit of what do you call it? An update as to where they are.
Yeah,
and that they're finishing up lighting.
Yeah,
and then in a few weeks, the composer who they listed the name and I didn't catch. Is going to be starting to record the music, and he worked with Koji Kondo, the original game composer, so they are to actually work in a lot of the old themes. So I'm fully expecting to hear a bunch of the classics.
Nice.
In full orchestra form, which will be awesome.
Yeah, agreed. Be like it's gonna be interesting next year when this movie comes out. They're gonna if like the movie's complete, looks like it. They're completing animation right now, and all they gotta do is lighting and compositing. But this sounds like a fun movie, and when this comes out next year, we will definitely have to.
This will definitely be a reaction next year, I think. Agreed.
And definitely with how big of a Nintendo fan you are.
Just slightly.
Just slightly.
Those of you watching on the video will probably know all the Nintendo, the Mario specific things that are staring at the television screen with us.
Yes.
But this is looking like it's going to be a lot of fun. And honestly, while I'm glad they are polishing it and they're not like trying to rush it out the door, I wish this movie would come out sooner than it looks like it's coming.
Agreed.
So I think that's going to be it, unless you've got anything else to add.
No, be like, man, I'm excited.
So podcast listeners, we'll now return you to listening to, I think we're about to start the spoiler-free section of our review of Frankenweenie. So join us there, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right. Jeez. Man, come on. I don't know what I did to D-Lib, but man, this is getting weird.
D-Lib, quit messing with the portal.
Thank you.
Hush.
Whatever she said.
You don't want to know.
Okay. All right, fine. If it's vengeance, well, best served cold.
It is very cold in the portal.
Apparently. She's already turned me into a dog twice. Okay.
Yeah, I still don't know how that worked.
Yeah, me either. But anyways, so yeah, that movie coming out next year, and there again, I haven't seen it yet, haven't seen the trailer yet, but my future self has. So we will tell you later how we thought of this film.
Indeed.
All right, so that is all I have for an info and stuff. Or The news.
The news. We're
The
not
news.
quite
Wrong
too
segment.
stuff yet. So why don't we go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free section of our review of Frankenweenie.
Certified fresh and spoiler free.
This is actually my second viewing of the film.
Really?
I saw it about 2 years ago. Back when we were doing that 100 movies and new views in a year.
Mm-hmm.
The 1 year I did that, and I watched it during that time, and I thought it was a fun little movie. And it was Tim Burton, and Tim Burton is hit or miss for me. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not good.
Right.
Can't really explain why. It's not usually my bag.
I got you.
But I thought for what this was, it was actually done pretty well. It is definitely, you can watch it with kids, though be aware there is a lot of scary imagery because this is technically a horror film.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Good.
What are your thoughts?
This is my first viewing of this film. I watched the original short from 1987, which is live action, a couple of years ago, and I thought that was very good. And then I watched this. I'm like, this is definitely Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely Tim Burton. It's definitely the same style. It'd be like it's stop motion instead of live action. It's in black and white, and oh man, this movie is so good. It's so good. It's definitely got the Tim Burton nightmare fuel. Definitely towards the end of the film. Oh my gosh. But done incredibly well. You have Nightmare Before Christmas vibes going on in this movie beyond belief. But it's just one of these films that is, I don't know if it's, it didn't do well in theaters, as far as I understand. And it is an enjoyable film that if you're a fan of stop motion or animation in general, you're going to enjoy this film.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into this film and giving it a proper review.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and hit the bumpers, and we will do just that.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out the Untold Podcast, which is a speculative fiction podcast using the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out the Untold Podcast at theuntoldpodcast.com to listen and leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Josh Adams, Ashley Ruiz, Book of Gaming.
To get your name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews, and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Frankenweenie from 2012. Listener discretion is advised.
Whoa.
Frankenweenie was written and directed by Tim Burton. And I don't have to tell you what he's done because he's done a ton of things.
A lot of really good stuff and some really weird stuff.
Oh, yes. But you probably know him from such things as Batman, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps also Beetlejuice, but we don't say that 3 times.
No. Don't want that guy going around.
Exactly. It's also written by John August. It is based on the short Frankenweenie that was directed by Tim Burton and written by Leonard Rips, and technically also based on the story Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus by Mary Shelley.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Getting into the cast, we've got Catherine O'Hara playing Mrs. Frankenstein, Weird Girl, and Gym Teacher. And in The Addams Family from 2019, she played Grandma Frump. Martin Short plays Mr. Frankenstein, Mr. Burgermeister, and Nassor. And he played the character of Needlander in The Three Amigos. Martin Landau played Mr. Riskresky, the science teacher.
Yes.
And in the Tim Burton classic documentary on Ed Wood, he played Bela Lugosi.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did.
Mm-hmm. Charlie Tejon plays Victor Frankenstein. And in the TV show Gotham from 2015, he played Jonathan Crane and Scarecrow.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Atticus Schaefer plays Edgar E. Gore, and he plays Brick on The Middle.
Okay.
The weird kid on that show.
Oh, okay. A show I never watched.
You should. Winona Ryder played Elsa Van Helsing, and she played Joyce Byers in Stranger Things. Robert Capron played Bob, and he was Rowley Jefferson in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. James Hiroyuki Liao played Toshiaki, and he was Kenji in Ghost of Tsushima. Conchata Farrell played Bob's mom, and she played the character of Helen in Edward Scissorhands. Last but not least, we got Frank Welker playing Sparky. And in the more recent Smurfs movies, he played Azrael, the cat.
Oh, of course. The man who is an amazing voice talent, but is primarily known for doing animal voices.
Pretty much.
Or barks and meows.
Getting into the Kingdom Hearts connections, staying with Frank Welker, along with playing Sparky in this movie, he also played Experiment 221 Sparky in Kingdom Hearts, a original character for the game based off the Stitch aliens. Also, we got Christopher Lee, who was in the footage of Dracula that they were playing, that the parents were watching, and he played both the characters of Ansem the Wise and Diz in Kingdom Hearts. D. Bradley Baker was the voice of Persephone, Shelley, Were-Rat, Colossus, Mr. Whiskers, and a driver. Yeah, in this. And he was Waka in Kingdom Hearts.
Waka.
Jeff Bennett was the giant sea monkeys in this. And in Kingdom Hearts, he played Merlin, Beryl, Lumiere, I put Merlin twice in here for some reason. Bashful, Mr. Shmee, Geppetto, Large Beagle Boy, and Small Beagle Boy in Kingdom Hearts. And last but not least, Tom Kenny. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah.
He voiced the New Holland townsfolk in this film. And he's the voice of Rabbit in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Interesting.
Entirely different character from SpongeBob. But yeah, that brings me to the end of the cast list. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So IMDb, it is 6.9 out of 10. It's available to watch on Disney Plus. Production was Walt Disney Pictures and Tim Burton Production. Distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Picture. Originally released on September 20th, 2020 at the Fantastic Festival. I can't get the F out for some reason.
Apparently.
Yep. As a kid, I had a problem with R's. I couldn't say my R's, so I'd say wabbit all the time. So apparently now I'm kind of reverting into saying F's. I can't say an F right. But so in the United States proper, it was released on October 5th, 2012. It had an estimated budget of $39 million. Its opening weekend for the United States and Canada was $11.5 million on October 7th. Its U.S. gross for Canada and the United States as well was $35.2 million. Not good. Its worldwide gross was $81.4 million. Yeah, that's not including advertising and promotion. Yeah, it did not do well in the box office. All right, home release. The film was released by Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment on DVD, Blu-ray, and Blu-ray 3D back when that was a thing in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
The Blu-ray release included the original live-action Frankenweenie short and a new 2-minute animated short titled Captain Sparky, and the Flying Saucers as bonus features. That is all I have for info and stuff on this film.
All right, let's get into the summary then. Victor Frankenstein, a young scientist and amateur filmmaker, lives with his parents and his beloved bull terrier dog, Sparky, in the quiet town of New Holland, Pennsylvania. His intelligence is recognized by his classmates at school, who include his somber next-door neighbor, Elsa Van Helsing, the mischievous Edgar E. Gore, the obese and gullible Bob, the overconfident Toshiaki, the creepy Nasor, and the eccentric girl nicknamed Weird Girl. But he did not interact much with them due to his relationship with his dog. Concerned with his son's isolation, Victor's father encourages the boy to take up baseball. When Victor hits a home run at his first game, Sparky chases the ball and is struck and killed by a car, leaving Victor despondent. Inspired by his new science teacher, Mr. Ruskrisky, demonstration of the effect of electricity on dead frogs, Victor digs up Sparky, brings the dog to a makeshift laboratory in his attic, and successfully reanimates his old friend with a bolt of lightning. While Victor is at school the next day, Sparky escapes from the attic to chase Weird Girl's cat, Mr. Whiskers, and subsequently explores the neighborhood. He is recognized by Edgar, who blackmails Victor into teaching him how to raise the dead. Together, the two resurrect a dead goldfish, which turns invisible due to an error with the experiment. Edgar brags about the fish to his classmates, but when he tries to show it to a skeptical Nasor, it is gone, leading him to speculate that the revived creatures only last for a short time. Fearful of losing the upcoming science fair, Toshiaki and Bob make a rocket out of soda bottles, and Bob breaks his arm when they test it. Mr. Ruskrisky is blamed for the accident and fired. The gym teacher replaces him, but before Mr. Ruskrisky leaves town, he is able to talk with Victor and advise the boy to use science wisely. Edgar accidentally reveals to Toshiaki, Nasor, and Bob that he and Victor had brought the invisible fish back from the dead, and that Victor has done the same with Sparky, which inspires them to try reanimations themselves. Victor's parents discover Sparky in the attic and are frightened, causing the dog to flee. His father starts to talk to him about the seriousness of what he has done, but Victor tearfully tells them that he just wanted his dog back. So his parents decide to help him find Sparky and continue the conversation later. When the family leaves, Victor's classmates invade the lab and discover the reanimation instructions. They perform their experiments separately, but each of their dead animals is turned into a monster. Mr. Whiskers holds a dead bat while he is electrocuted, resulting in him becoming a grotesque vampiric feline, or as I like to call him, Bat Cat.
Yum, 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 yum.
The dead rat Edgar found in the garbage turns into a were-rat. Nasor's mummified hamster, Colossus, comes back to life, and Toshiaki's turtle, Shelly, is covered in Miracle Grow and becomes a huge Gamera-like monster. And Bob's sea monkeys grow into gremlin-like amphibious humanoids. The monsters converge on the town fair, and where they wreak havoc. After Victor finds Sparky at the town's pet cemetery, Bob and Toshiaki find him and ask for his help in dealing with the monsters. They go to the fair where the sea monkeys explode after eating salted popcorn. Colossus is stepped on by Shelly, and the were-rat and Shelly both return to their original deceased forms after getting electrocuted. During the chaos, Persephone, Elsa's pet poodle, is grabbed by Mr. Whiskers and carried to the town windmill where Elsa and Victor give pursuit. The townsfolk blame Sparky for Elsa's disappearance and chase him to the windmill, which Elsa's uncle accidentally ignites with a torch. Victor and Sparky enter the burning windmill and rescue Elsa and Persephone, but Victor is trapped inside. Sparky rescues Victor only to be dragged back inside by Mr. Whiskers, who is fatally impaled by a flaming piece of wood just before the windmill collapses, killing Sparky again. To reward him for his bravery, the townsfolk gather and revive Sparky with their car batteries. Persephone runs to Sparky and they touch noses, producing a spark. Getting into the trivia for this one, the pet cemetery features the grave of Zero from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Victor's friend and next-door neighbor, Elsa Van Helsing, is a reference to Abraham Van Helsing, Bram Stoker Dracula's character, and Ella Lancaster, the original Bride of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
The actress, anyway. The hair on the head of Elsa Van Helsing's dog Persephone is copied from the hair of Elsa Lancaster's character in The Bride of Frankenstein, right down to the white streaks. The turtle, Shelley, is named for Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, the 1818 novel on which this film is loosely based. His monster form, though, is based on...
Camera! Camera is really neat. Camera is filled with meat. We've been eating camera. Shell, teeth, eyes, flames, claws, breath, scales, fun.
This is Tim Burton's first film since Big Fish, 2003, not to feature Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
His first since Sleepy Hollow not to feature Helena Bonham Carter. And his first since Mars Attacks to feature neither of them.
Wow.
Yeah. The mayor of the town, Mr. Burgermeister, his name means mayor in German. His name and appearance is also an homage to Burgermeister Meisterburger, the antagonist in the stop-motion film Santa Claus is Coming to Town from 1970.
Huh. Interesting.
The film's release spawned a fan theory that this film and Burton's other two stop-motion animated films, The Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride, are all taking place in a shared continuity and tell one big story spanning several centuries, and the possibility that Victor Frankenstein and Sparky are descendants of Victor Van Dort and Scraps from Corpse Bride.
Interesting.
Indeed. The demonstration that Mr. Ruskreski shows in class of the frog's legs twitching when given electricity is based on actual experiments in 1771 by Italian physicist Luigi Galvani, who was the first to discover that the legs of dead frogs and other dead creatures twitched and moved when sparked by electricity. This led to the study of bioelectricity and further study of the nervous system and its functions. The study of galvanic effects in biology is named after Galvani, who is seen as the discoverer of bioelectricity. Several of Tim Burton's movies have played with this theme, most notably Frankenweenie and Edward Scissorhands. Nasor is strongly similar in appearance and speech to the original monster from Frankenstein, 1931, while his hamster is a mummy. Both Frankenstein's monster and The Mummy from 1932 were played by the actor Boris Karloff.
Yes.
Tim Burton stated in an interview for the CBBC show Blue Peter that if the studio had said they would not permit him to do the film in black and white, he would leave the project as he felt it reflected the classic horror movie style of the film.
Indeed.
Last but not least, while Tim Burton based the town of New Holland on a similar town in which he grew up outside Burbank, California, Disney officially chose New Holland, Pennsylvania as the town where the film takes place. After the principal of New Holland Elementary School, also the name of the school in this film, contacted Burton and the film's producers about the fictional town's similarities to New Holland, Pennsylvania, Disney representatives brought movie segments and promotional materials to the school. Disney representatives also brought a parade float to New Holland's Fall Festival. New Holland, Pennsylvania is also known for its Pennsylvania Dutch background and holds a fall festival similar to the Dutch Day in the film. Which brings us to the end of the trivia. Jacob, what is your first like of this film?
I think you stated in part of it is a classic throwback to the classic horror films of the old days. 1930s, 1940s, and obviously it would also reminisce of the Hammer films, which we do see. I'd
also say the Universal horror films also.
Yeah, agreed. Just the classic horror film era. And it's done very well because Tim Burton, when you give him that kind of niche of horror and gothic, he is just gold. And Batman Returns, all those Edward Scissorhands, Nightmare Before Christmas, this movie, Corpse Bride. It'd be like this man just knows kind of this niche of animation movie style of production, and it's done so well. And I love the kind of, like he's said in the trivia, of homaging to these other great films. Heck, at one point the mother and father are watching Dracula from the old Hammer films, with
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee, the legend Christopher Lee.
Back when he still looked like a young man.
Yeah. Before he turned into
An old man.
Yeah, an old man who
back when he was still the character that James Bond was based off of.
That's right.
At least that's the rumor.
That's the story, yeah. Or before he became oh crap, what did he play in the Star Wars movies?
Oh, the unfortunately named Count
Dooku.
George, I like Star Wars, but really, why did you name a character Dooku? It sounds too close to Dookie. Only one person got away with naming their villain Dookie, and that was crud, what's his name? Rockadoodle, the director of that, and Don Bluth.
Don Bluth.
Don Bluth's the only one getting away with naming their character Dookie. Of course, that character's name was actually the Duke. But anyway.
Yeah, but either or. But yeah, just I love the classic horror vibe of this, because if you were like a young kid like me and your parents like to watch those kind of films, like it was a real treat watching this. Kind of the nostalgia feels kicked in, and just like, wow, I really want to go back and watch an old Hammer film.
Right.
But yeah, it's my number one. Be like the nostalgia, not really the nostalgia, but more the homage, and how Tim Burton is so masterfully well with this genre of horror and gothic, and it's so well done. What is your number one?
I'm going to keep with yours, because this was also one of mine.
Okay.
In that I love how this feels like an old school monster movie.
Yeah.
From the 30s and 40s, specifically the Universal ones are the ones that came to my mind, because I've not watched much of the Hammer stuff. But this just feels like it could have been made right alongside that stuff. It has that feel. The scientific equipment is, admittedly, here it's very exaggerated.
Yeah.
But it has that same kind of put together feel that the old lab equipment in Frankenstein feels. It was interesting watching essentially what was an old monster movie that was made in 2012.
Yeah.
Which 100 years, nearly 100 years after the original film, those original films were made. So yeah, it was, I enjoyed that. It was just a fun little adventure, little monster movie fest.
Awesome.
Basically. What's your second like?
My second like would be definitely Sparky himself. I mean, like he's a dog, but how they give life in other ways than electricity, of how this dog is animated, how he expresses himself, how his loyalty to Victor is, and the fact to be like he's brought back to life as a reanimated. I don't want to call him a zombie dog, but he's not a zombie.
That's been the question, if technically Frankenstein's monster was a zombie. And most people say he wasn't, because zombies are still rotting while the monster is not rotting. Yeah. And he actually does have a brain. It's just not well developed, unlike zombies who mostly don't have brains.
True.
That's why they're searching for them to eat them.
Nom nom nom.
But yeah, I don't know we just know him as Frankenstein's monster at this point.
That's true. But I do there was one of the main reasons.
By the way, I just want to say this.
Go
I
ahead.
don't get to talk about stupid little things like this often. But I still will call Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein, because he was put together by Victor Frankenstein. He you could say that they are father and son, and the son generally takes on the last name of the father. So technically,
that is true.
He should still be called Frankenstein.
In the book, there's, I think, one point where Frankenstein be like, he does reject his scientific, but I think towards the end he does call him his son in a way.
He does, but all I'm saying is it's still you could still call the monster Frankenstein without technically being wrong.
That is true. I always like, I love the idea that a character is willing to sacrifice themselves in order to save their best friend. And like it says in scripture to be like, whoever will lay down his life for a friend. I know I'm butchering it to death, but I love those kind of moments. It reminded me so much of one of my favorite dog movies, Bolts, which came out in I think 2012 or it came around right around the same time. I think it could have been 2014, but it's the same thing where this dog is so incredibly loyal to its owner, it's willing to sacrifice itself in order to protect its owner. And I love those kind of points where it's a character is willingly and is willing to sacrifice, just like Jesus did for us. And I love that in that character that is willing to lay down its life for a friend. That was good.
The scripture in question, I just looked it up for you.
Thank you.
Is John 15:13.
Mm-hmm.
And in the ESV, it says, "Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends."
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I love those kind of character arcs in a story. Definitely when it comes to like a dog, or like especially when it comes to another person, that you're willing to lay down your life, willing to lay down everything for those you love. And you don't see stories like that a whole lot nowadays. No. But it's good to see something like that. And I'm looking forward to when we review Disney's Bolt, because that's another movie that's done very well,
right?
Kind of like this. And yeah, I'm a sucker for these kind of stories, and I love it. So yeah, what is your second like?
My second like for this is I love all of the throwbacks to the short. I did watch the short after I watched the movie because I was curious, and there were a number of things that they did. It's like, oh, you literally, yeah, you could have said they copied it too much or copied the look too closely, but in some cases, it's like, oh, you actually did that brilliantly. Yeah, like like a lot of the machinery uses the same parts, like the reindeer Christmas decorations, the three separate the regular kite, the bat kite, and the clear umbrella were all used. It really looked like they went and lovingly looked at what the film did, what that original short did, and made those in stop motion figures. But the one that really got me was the I think it's Bob's mom. She looks like she is based on one specific actress from the short. That was the one that in the shorts, the one that Sparky scared initially.
Oh yeah.
So I thought, okay, it's the one that when they're revving their cars to give Sparky a jump start, says, "Give it more power," and she says the same. It's the same model that uses it here.
I gotcha.
Granted, we are looking at in some ways a remake of the short, but expanded into 2 hours, which is hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
And they showed as much love and affection for the scenes that were copied, but not so much that it felt like you were watching the old short, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even Sparky's death, the way they handled that, you don't actually see him get hit. In both the view shifts to Sparky's point of view.
Yeah.
And you see him turn his head when the car honks, and it comes right at you the same way. It's two different cars.
Yeah.
Just because of time and stuff. But I thought that was like very well done. And then of course you get all of the gravestones in the pet cemetery. A lot of them are copied. The only one that really has a lot of difference is Sparky's headstone itself, because you can tell there's a change between both versions. But the fact that there's one that's literally the good Hello Kitty face, and its name was Goodbye Kitty, that made me laugh. It's like, and it actually made me think, as I watched the stop motion movie first, I thought, I wonder if they did that for this one, or if that was in the original, because in my mind, Hello Kitty could not have made a splash over here until the 90s.
Yeah.
So when I watched, I tried to look up when all that came over here, and I couldn't find any concrete information when the Hello Kitty stuff was being sold in the U.S. And I just started watching the original short, and I got to the scene there where essentially the shorts version of the weird girl is like talking on the phone, and you can see on her back wall a Hello Kitty poster. Go, Well, I guess they knew about it. This wasn't just a coincidence. But
that is funny.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I just love that attention to detail, especially after last month.
Oh gosh, yes.
But it just was not so nice that, I know this is Tim Burton's baby for the most part. Going back and revisiting and getting to recreate a short that a movie based on a short he may not have felt he could have given his all to at the time, especially since Disney fired him after wasting Disney's money on the short as they saw it right after that, and then go and put it out on stuff. But anyway, you could just see so much care in this film, and I appreciate that. So that's my second like.
Speaking of scenes that made me laugh, that literally I created a meme out of it for Monday meme. It was the strange girl, the weird girl, her cat. That
Mr.
Whiskers predicts the future through a poop through his feces.
I'm curious how he does that. B, I really don't want to know how he does that.
Oh my gosh! But it was
C, she'll never have to worry about Mr. Whiskers doing that ever again.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, those poor animals.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! That kind of be like, I wanted to tie that in with this one. The like Mr. Whiskers was like, okay, you predict people's future through your very distorted feces, poop, whatever.
All it means is all that means is when the cat dreams of them, is that something big is about to happen.
Yeah,
that really doesn't tell you anything.
No,
that could mean anything.
It's so vague.
Yeah,
but
like most of fortune telling. But anyway,
true. But it's I find it so funny with this idea that be like Victor in his desire to bring his own dog back. Be like I think it's the scientist says something, or I can't remember who says it in the film, where it's they're trying to rationalize what's going on.
Yeah,
because how Victor his love for his pet. That's why his dog came out the way he does, and everybody else's greedy desire to create life and their desire to be famous or desire to win this is their intention behind it.
There is a lot of pseudoscience in this film, but it's intentional pseudoscience.
It is intentional pseudoscience. It's not supposed to be scientifically accurate,
right?
But it's just this notion that if you obviously you can't create life, because the only one who can create life is God himself,
right?
It's just the notion of the intention of the heart, because like you do something in an act of love or obedience or something like that, and the result is going to be X, ABC. But if you do something out of like the cruelness of your heart of like a sinful intention, be like it's going to backfire on you probably 99% of the time. It's going to and be like you could pull some really good parallels from this movie if you like deep dived it. But this is the idea that be like the idea of the outpouring of your heart is like be like it's how the heart can be deceptive and can be deceiving. But I mean, like I really love those little themes in there, and I just Mr. Whiskers, that just made me laugh. I mean, I just went chuckled, and I was like, seriously, you're doing this? This is kind of funny. So yeah, that's my third like.
My third like for this film, I love all the monsters at the end.
Of course you do.
Oh yeah, because I mean, okay, so when Mr. Whiskers is going through his metamorphosis into Batcat, that is like the creepiest. That's amazing animation in and of itself. That whole transformation. Granted, about halfway through they kind of cheat and do the little spin, and all of a sudden his white fur is now black fur. But it was just like, oh man, that almost gave me chills watching that.
Oh yeah.
And at that point, it's like, and I mean, like the minute that happens, you know what's happening with the rest. All of their all those other animals are going to turn out, far worse monsters than Sparky was ever going to be. So, I mean, you get the were-rat, which is not quite as imaginative. He's essentially a werewolf, but he's a rat.
Yes.
Okay, cool. You get the evil sea monkeys, which is like, okay, that's funny. And poor Colossus. I did not know what I was expecting from Colossus.
That was so good.
But that whole reveal where he's going, rise from your grave, Colossus. To some degree, you're expecting to some degree the way he's talking about this thing, it's going to be some big bull mastiff, humongous dog come out of this giant mausoleum, and it's a little bitty hamster who doesn't do a cotton picking thing.
True.
But of course, you already know. I've already made the jokes tonight on this.
Yes.
My favorite one, because the very second I saw the miracle grow on the table behind him where Toshiaki was setting up his experiment for Shelly. I thought, wait a minute. A Japanese kid has a pet turtle. And it's very obvious it's going to turn to a monster. Well, the friend to all children is about to make an appearance here tonight. And he turned, and the minute you see that Miracle Grow Porter there, it's like, any minute now. Any minute, this is going to be good. And that's why I took a picture of it. And I texted Nate over at the Monster on Film Vault and said, hey, look at this. Gamera showed up in a Disney movie. Probably because they couldn't get Godzilla, if we're being honest, but still, because you actually look at the model for Shelly, and he's not. It's obviously based on Gamera. They didn't put in Gamera's tusks that he's got, and his head looks very similar to some shots of Godzilla I've seen. So I think they wanted Godzilla, but they had to settle for the friend to all children. But yeah, this Gamera would be a lot easier to get. But I was,
oh my gosh,
I had to pause and stop laughing when I saw it. Not because it was funny, but it's just like, yes, Pixar couldn't get Godzilla, but Disney got Gamera.
Wait, what?
Yeah, in Monsters Incorporated.
Oh,
the scene where they're crossing the street.
Yeah,
and they're standing next to a giant, quote unquote, dinosaur.
Yeah,
and when Sully says good morning to him, you just hear a chicken cluck.
Oh yeah.
That was supposed to be Godzilla's roar, but they couldn't get the rights.
Oh my gosh,
because they'd have to license it from Toho, and Toho wouldn't do it.
Funny,
but anyway, I loved all the monsters at the end of this. It was fun to see them. It's just sad how they all went out, though, which I'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
You got anything before we jump into dislikes?
No, let's get in there.
All right. If you don't mind, I will start.
Go
dislikes. Because it kind of goes off what I was just saying. I wish we had more of the monsters at the end of this film.
I agree.
The fact that they all die is just disappointing in some ways. I wanted them to have to, obviously it makes sense that the kids would initially be scared at these monstrous creations, especially Weird Girl, now that her beloved cat is now a bat cat. I thought it would fit better with the theme.
Okay.
Especially since, we do have the whole thing with Sparky and the love that Victor showed him. If maybe the kids had to accept responsibility for their actions.
Yeah.
And had to learn to love these creations of their own, but they never have to because all the animals die by the end of the film.
That is true.
And I'm like, really? You could have given this a little more oomph because these kids basically got away with it.
Yeah. You basically almost destroyed a town and you learned nothing from it.
Exactly. These kids are going to be doing the same thing next week. Victor learned a lesson, but he still got, his friend back, which I guess ends justify the means is the lesson he learned there. But still, it's just, I wish we'd gotten more with that.
Fair.
I feel like not making the kids have to live with their mistakes.
Yeah.
Ultimately hurt the film on a thematic level.
I would agree with
Look
you
at
there.
me reviewing this like I'm an objective reviewer. I'm not. It's just, that's just the thing that crossed my mind. It's like it messes. It just the kids don't have to deal with the theme like Victor does.
Yeah. They just walk away scot-free and just
Pretty much. Granted, the film ends like just as soon as Sparky's alive, just like in the short, but
yeah, I agreed.
We didn't really get to see much aftermath.
True. Yeah, I would agree with you on that, and that is definitely my first dislike of this film is like there's not a lesson learned by our antagonist children characters, because Victor learns a really good lesson, like a really, really lesson, but be like his is more be like sometimes the idea of an adult, you have to let things go, but his is more like he gets his best friend back at the end of the film, and I feel like there's a part of it there, it's like, oh, it's we can get into that later, but the idea of the antagonist characters do these horrific things and meddling with nature in order to create these abominations of creatures for their own gluttonous desires to gain fame or glory or something like that.
Yeah. And
they don't learn a lesson from it. It's literally how the movie ends, and we never see any aftermath of maybe they're expelled or something like that. But we don't, these characters don't learn a lesson. Like you said in your first, is like, it'd be like, it's literally, they could just do it again tomorrow. Yeah. And they haven't learned anything from it. And when you said that makes perfect sense. And yeah, that's my first dislike, is like, you don't get the characters learning a hard lesson, and there's no punishment for what they do. It's like, oh, we meddle, we played with nature, we were allowed to do this, and there's no repercussions for anything, and so we just, oh, okay, be like, oh, I feel sorry, and you do it again. So yeah, there's no lesson learned at the end of the film. So yeah, it's my first dislike.
Okay. My second dislike is they added, I think, a few too many characters to this town. I honestly don't think, well, I know that the adults were in the original short, and that's why they were included here. Almost, with the exception of Victor's parents, they're almost all useless for the most part. They almost all have no character. They're all two-dimensional screaming townsfolk. Granted, you need screaming townsfolk in a Frankenstein movie, but the few that do seem like they should be major characters, like Mr. Burgermeister or the gym teacher, they have no real reason for being there other than they're fulfilling a role.
Yeah.
Now, they did add a new character with Mr. Russian guy. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that name again.
Oh, the scientist?
The scientist, yeah. The science teacher.
Yeah.
He's not really a new character. They just expanded the role of the science teacher from the short. But he at least did give like a lot of what I think this film's message was. But he's gone by halfway through it because he had to get fired, so that, I guess he wasn't there to stop people from being crazy at the end of the film. I don't know. They almost fired him for, they fired him for a good reason, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But from a story perspective, it's like, why was he already out of town by the time the Dutch festival happened and the monster attacks? You could have still had him come back and perhaps, I don't know, be one of the voices of reason in this town.
Yeah.
But they got, even he's almost a useless character because he's gone by halfway through the film. And of the kids, most of them are forgettable too, in a way.
Yeah.
The only one that sticks out to me is Edgar,
Mhm.
and that's because he's Igor.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even really do the Igor role very well.
True.
Or Igor, however you want to say
Igor.
it. I've heard it
Igor.
both ways.
Yeah.
In the same movie. Young Frankenstein.
Gotcha.
But almost all the other characters, it's like they have they have an archetype maybe they're fulfilling, but it's not even a well defined archetype, I guess. It just feels like there's too many people in the film. If they had, I don't know, just focused on the kids and had the adults just be background elements to fulfill even the small role that they had in the thing, but they tried to give so much story on both sides of it that it really felt like there was too much going on at points, and too many characters to try to keep up with what they were doing, when most of the time it was unnecessary what they're doing. Even the character who I assumed was supposed to be Victor's love interest, Elsa Van Helsing, is a useless character. Her only real job is she's the owner of Persephone, the bride of Sparky, basically, and to sing the very bad town theme at the at the Dutch festival. I just feel like there's so many characters in this that they didn't have time to develop any of them. And really, in some ways, the characters that were in the short aren't developed much from what they are in the short.
Okay.
So yeah, there's just a lack of character development across the board, I think. Not from an acting perspective, but from a writing perspective.
Okay.
Just because there wasn't enough time.
Yeah, my second dislike is more from an animation standpoint. Like you look at we've done Corpse Bride, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I knew that.
This is the third stop motion Tim Burton property we've done.
Yeah. So you look at Nightmare, you look at Corpse Bride, the animated characters, or the stop motion characters, actually, there's a lot more. Like you look at Nightmare, you look at Night Before Christmas, like you have a lot of characters who blink. You have in Corpse Bride, there's a lot of characters who blink to give them more life and fluidity as a character, to give them, more of a personality, whatever, for us, we can relate to them because they blink like us. In this movie, you hardly ever see a character blink. But like there's certain points here and there, but it's so like it's not as fluid as the older films,
right?
And I don't know if that's more like maybe a aesthetic point, where it's be like you have a character who has dead eyes looking at you with no soul or reflection in it. So, go ahead.
I have a theory as to why that is.
Okay.
First off, while this is the third Tim Burton quote unquote Halloweeny movie, the other two movies were not directed by Tim Burton.
Agree, they weren't.
It was the Nightmare Before Christmas. Let me say the whole name. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah. Tim Burton barely had anything to do with it other than character designs.
Agreed.
Corpse Bride, I think he wrote the story.
I think so.
But he didn't direct it either, because Corpse Bride was created by the same production team that made Nightmare Before Christmas, which is now the company we know as Laika. This film, while it was also directed by it was the first of these directed by Tim Burton, this is almost an entirely new team. We don't know how skilled they actually are at doing this sort of thing. It could be that between the skill level of the production team and maybe Tim Burton's preferences based on his art, it could be that they just decided we won't have the characters blink as often to make it feel creepier.
I gotcha.
I don't know. That's a theory. I don't know how true it is.
I gotcha.
I know some elements are true, but I don't know if that's all the reasoning.
Yeah, so that's just me. Be like, it was more. I noticed there's not a whole lot of like eye blinking for the characters. Be like, obviously, Mr. Whiskers blinked a little.
Yeah,
but overall,
it was the one eye at a time blink.
Yeah, which is creepy.
Well, cats do that if they don't trust you, because they want to keep one eye on you at all times.
I didn't know that.
When cats blink and they close both eyes, that means they're comfortable around you. So you can imagine how little Rowdy blinks when I'm around.
Oh gosh, I can imagine. Poor cat.
No. He was okay the other day.
Oh,
so.
okay. All right. So yeah, that is my second dislike. What is your third?
My third dislike, I understand why they chose the black and white, and I do kind of like the fact that it's a black and white film. But I feel they did not play with the contrasts enough in scenes. It really did feel like you were either in a really, really dark scene or a really, really bright scene.
Mm-hmm.
And there was never any of that high contrast in the same scene. Now,
Okay.
granted, that could just be a stylistic thing, and it may not have gone for it, but there just seems a lot of times where everything was averaging out to just one big shade of gray for each scene. Some of that I know is modern filmmaking style that's designed around color, but this is a black and white film. You need it to pop.
Mm-hmm.
You need the black to pop out and the white to pop out from each other to make it feel natural. And in so many ways, this just feels like it's gonna sound stupid to say it feels like it's gray because it's black and white. Yeah, there's gonna be gray in there. But if it just feels like it's not, the colors aren't deep.
Okay.
The black and white is not deep like it should be for a
I
black
agree
and
with
white
you.
film. Like the films that this is trying to ape the style of would have done it. It just feels like it feels like they chose what colors they wanted it to be, and they animated it in those colors, and then when they got to the editing bay, they took all the color out and were stuck with what they had instead of actually trying to make it look good in black and white.
Fair.
Not saying it looks bad. Do not get me wrong. It's just it could look better
Fair.
in black and white. So yeah, that's and I know that to some degree that's going to be a taste thing. It's just I've seen some good black and white that really worked with those colors, even with darker scenes and lighter scenes. It's just this felt like I was looking at a picture, not looking at an actual setting.
I got
and
you.
even the stop motion, you should have been able to do that. Because if you actually look at like some of the old black and white stuff, like for instance, the Munsters, which is kind of aping on Frankenstein also.
Yeah.
The color shots, if you actually were to watch the see them in their makeup in real life instead of in the black and white show,
yeah,
they're wearing like blue and green makeup, like unrealistic blue and green makeup, so that on the black and white film it will pop better.
Yeah,
this it looks like they made every character's skin color standard skin colors, and then it just doesn't have the same feel to it. Now, granted, because of Tim Burton's art style with the sunken in eyes, it works.
Yeah.
And maybe some of this is because they made the colors look closer to his style. Because if you actually look at his art style, it does have the very much kind of a sketchy gothic feel to it.
It does, yeah.
That this is obviously trying to ape the art style of. But I just really wanted not just the characters, but even the backgrounds to have more pop to it.
Understood.
So yeah, that's my third dislike.
Okay. So my third dislike, there again, it's a nitpick, and it kind of vibes in with yours a little bit. So I remember there's one scene, I think it's like a teacher or it's somebody, they're looking down at a notepad. Yeah. And you can obviously tell for some reason, they didn't technically shoot everything in black and white. They just, they put the sepia tone for everything in a tone. But at one point you can actually see yellow. In one scene, it's on a piece of paper, and you literally see it. It's yellow.
I'd have to go back and look at that.
Yeah. Now, I might be like, my eyes, maybe it deceived me, but I could have, told you up and down without, swearing to anything. But like, it looked yellow.
And it could have been your TV trying to hit that black and white, because we're looking at a color TV producing a black and white image. It may mess up from time to time.
It could be.
It also could be someone missed a step in Photoshop or whatever.
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever digital editing software they were using.
Yeah, that was what I thought.
Weren't using the black and white setting on a camera. Looks like they actually made it in color.
They did.
And then made it black and white.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's one thing I have learned from my photography, the more you get in camera, the better it looks. And this looks like they put it in black and white in post instead of shooting it in black and white.
Yeah. Agreed.
Anyway.
Agreed. So yeah, that's like a little nitpick. It'd be like, I saw it and I was like, that doesn't seem right. Now, granted, it could have been, maybe it was a trick of the light. Maybe it was my television.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been
any number of things.
It could have been numerous things, but it was just a little nitpick. And I was like, that looks yellow in a black and white film.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I mean, you look back at Corpse Bride and you have those scenes that were shot, in the village where it's very much has a grayscale feel, but you can tell it was filmed in color.
Yeah.
That has more of the depth that we're talking about.
Yeah, agreed.
This film does,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Agreed.
The short has more depth in its black and white than this does. But anyway, I'm just picking nits at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But that does bring us to the end of this episode. So this review. So we do need to rate it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you rating it?
Oh, really? It's a great film. It's a wonderful, wonderful piece of stop motion animation that is done very well. It does have its little flaws here and there as a film in general, but overall it's great. So I would probably give it an 8.
Okay.
What do you give it?
I'm going to probably give it about an 8 also. It's got, like we said, it's got its little flubs and little flaws, but for the most part, it's just a fun monster movie that, I mean, that's just going to be fun to watch this time of year. It's got a message that I do think it sort of flubs up at the end if you think about it too hard, but it's better than some other Disney Halloween movies I've seen this year.
Alrighty.
But yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Alrighty.
Which means it's time to move into the first episode of season 2 of Lower Decks on animated series.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Robotech.
Come on now and set sail for the future. Fly the sky, oh, the lava.
All right. If you remember when we left off on these reviews, what, a year and a half ago?
Roughly.
When we left off at the end of season 1, and one of our characters, Boimler, had moved on to a new ship.
Yeah.
While the other 3 are left back on the Cerritos.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go. That's pretty much what happened. All you really need to know going into this. So let's go ahead and jump into the first episode of season 2, Strange Energies, which was directed by Jason Zurich and written by Mike McKayen. Since this is the first episode of this, I am going to go through the entire cast list. Tawny Newsome plays Ensign Beckett Mariner. Jack Quaid plays Ensign Brad Boimler. Noel Wells plays Ensign Devon Attendee. Eugene Cordero plays Ensign Samantha Rutherford. Dawn Lewis plays Captain Carol Freeman. Jerry O'Connell plays Commander Jack Ransom. Jillian Vigman plays Dr. Ta'ana. Fred Tatasciore, who last season played Security Officer Shax, the Bajoran.
Yeah.
He is still in the cast. And in this episode, he voiced one of the Cardassian Guard holograms.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Ben Rogers plays Lieutenant Commander Stevens. Missy Pyle plays the holographic Cardassian interrogator. And if the name Missy Pyle sounds familiar to you, she was in Galaxy Quest as one of the Thermians.
Oh,
The
okay.
female Thermian.
Oh, okay.
Just to put that in perspective.
I gotcha.
Semi Star Trek royalty. Jessica McKenna plays Ensign Barnes. Lauren Lapkus plays Ensign Jennifer Sharian. Phil Lamar plays Admiral Freeman. And this episode, we have guest starring Jonathan Frakes as Captain William T. Riker. For 2 lines. In this episode, the USS Cerritos is dispatched on a mission, which results in an encounter with strange energy. Trivia for this episode. Although there is no official star date given within the episode itself, a log by Ransom on the Star Trek Logs Instagram account dated the episode to somewhere around stardate 57995.8. Roughly around where it's supposed to be. In Mariner's holo program, the holographic Boimler says the Cardassians keep showing him lights. This is a reference to the Next Generation episode Chains of Command Part 2, where Gul Madred tortured Captain Jean-Luc Picard by repeatedly showing him 4 bright lights and telling him they were in fact 5 lights. When Picard refused to submit, he was tortured by a small device implanted in his chest that allowed Madred to inflict pain in any part of Picard's body. Which is why every Star Trek fan knows there are 4 lights. Anyway.
And apparently I still don't get that joke.
I'll make you watch that episode one day. The ships featured in the Cardassian facility as Mariner steals the Macduff include 2 Gaylord-class Cardassian cruisers, 3 Jem'Hadar fighters, 4 Bajoran interceptors, 4 Danube-class runabouts, 5 Delta Flyer-type vessels, 7 Federation attack fighters, 3 Snipe-class frigates, and 2 D5 Klingon battle cruisers. 5 small Cardassian ships of an unnamed type, and 3 Hideki-class vessels. Mariner's line about how the crew is not supposed to have interpersonal conflict is a reference to Gene Roddenberry's infamous rule during the early years of Star Trek The Next Generation, that there couldn't be any conflict between the main characters and that all drama had to come from outside forces. And now you know why the show nearly died in 2 seasons. That episode references Gary Mitchell early in the episode, and that's a callback to the second pilot of the original series, Where No Man Has Gone Before, which aired as episode 3. In it, Lieutenant Commander Gary Mitchell was exposed to strange energies at the edge of the galaxy and given godlike powers. So, Jacob, what are your thoughts on this, not being a big Star Trek person and being forced along this by your co-host?
I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun episode. There again, I didn't catch all the references. Be like, okay, that's a reference to something. I don't get it.
This episode, there wasn't too many.
No, there wasn't. But the idea that I think it's Mariner, who is now kind of her and her mother, who's a captain, have given her basically free reign to do whatever she wants. Is that the same episode? Yeah, same episode. That's the whole thought. And there again, that's
what causes the main conflict in this episode.
Exactly, because it's Mariner. Because everything.
She's trying her best. What she thinks is right, and unfortunately, screws up.
Of course. I do like the idea that they go down, and poor Boimler.
He finally got what he always wanted, and it's actually being in the A story of an actual Star Trek series. So every week he has to deal with this crap. And Riker using all those jazz terms. It's like, how do you know what he's saying? I don't know what he's saying. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, but it's like then you get the side story with Tinley, right?
Tindy, yeah,
Tindy and her guy crush.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Rutherford did technically get horribly injured at the end of the last episode, because in order to get out of the Pac-led vessel and it's still connected, Shax literally ripped the his implant out and then ran, and that caused some memory issues. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Also, Shax is dead at this point.
Really?
Yeah. in this episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I watched the first season, but it's a good episode. It's there again. It's Mariner trying to get herself out of the problem she put herself into, and the first what is it, the first, not captain, but he's the
first officer.
He's the first officer. Oh, I think it's like Riker. Be like he's Riker.
It's the same role.
It's the same role.
In fact, a lot of Ransom's what do you call it? Mannerisms?
Yeah,
are based off Riker.
They are very much based off Riker. I mean, like I've seen a little bit of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it's like, okay, Riker.
Yeah,
but oh my gosh, be like the guy who originally played Riker.
Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes. Be like, just sound like every scene he was in was chewing it up. It was so funny, just so funny, and like there again, there's a lot of things going on. Be like, I may not understand because I'm not a Trekkie or a Trekkie.
Okay. I use the term Trekkie. If that's wrong, I don't care.
Okay, either or. But it's a fun episode, and it's how they solve this dilemma of the the first lieutenant or whatever his name is,
first officer.
First officer.
He would be a commander in rank.
Okay, the command. What's his name?
Ransom.
Yeah,
Jack
Ransom. Yeah, Jack Ransom. Getting zapped by this ray, and the joke would be like, oh, it may give him an idea of godly powers. Yes. And he turns this immediately. I'm like, oh no, this is not gonna be good.
It's like, oh my, and then he starts doing so many Star Trek things from the past, where his head separates from his body and grows to massive size while slowly turning everyone on the planet into little ransomites.
Yeah, ransom. That was hilarious.
And changing everything to be like fitness equipment, because he's got a very big fitness thing on that show. Because he's trying to be Riker and Kirk, basically.
Yeah, right. And oh my gosh, the way they solve the dilemma, because obviously the mother and daughter don't get along.
They really don't. They both hate working for each other, but they don't. Neither one of them knows how to get out of it, and that's what's really got Ransom set off.
Yeah, and Ransom just he wants the admiration from his captain, and he's not getting it because the daughter's getting it.
Yeah,
and the solution to getting him to calm down.
Well, I loved how they explained it when she says, well, how did they stop the Scary Mitchell guy back in the old days? They dropped a boulder on him. I'm thinking, yeah, they did. They did drop a boulder on him. And then at the very end, it's like, yeah, she is doing the, can we call it the Megazord maneuver?
Oh my gosh, yes. It is the Megazord maneuver.
She is kicking him right in right in his manhood, we'll say.
Yeah. Ouch.
And continues doing it because it's the only thing that's distracting him enough for the energies to want to leave.
It's like, oh no, power up.
And finally they finally bring him to a full stop because Dr. Ta'ana has found a forklift with a giant boulder and drops it on him.
Oh,
like, well, that'll do it.
Oh my gosh.
That'll do, kitty. That'll do.
Oh my, yeah, this episode is fun. There again, going back to season 1 with Star Trek Lower Decks, there was a lot of apprehension watching this because obviously it's the creators of
Rick and Morty,
and I was like, this doesn't sound fun at all.
And I was worried when we first did this, even though it was my idea.
Yeah, and I mean, like it's really good. It's really well done storytelling, and it's be like the episode where this is the same episode where crap, what's her name? The main character of the show. Mariner. Yeah, Mariner be like she's doing this hologram where she's working out and she's breaking out of a prison.
Trying to get out her frustrations because that is how she that's how she does her athletic stuff. Keeps them fit.
Yeah.
And I love the part where they're on what is obviously a recreation of the Khan ship from Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
The Reliant.
Yeah, the Reliant.
Because it was even a Miranda class vessel.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cardassian, the holographic Cardassian, she's pulled along here, says, why quit doing squats? What are you doing? She says, I can't. It's leg day.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Mariner I'm kind of torn between her character because she's the kind of character that really gets on your nerves about everything.
Right.
And she literally gets away with it all the time.
Well, not all the time.
Not all the time, no. But it's just more like she just does whatever she wants. She has to face consequences most of the time, but it's just like, can we stop with this, please? But it's the character. I understand it's the character, and it's how these stories play. But it's just like, oh my gosh, will this character get put in her place?
And then you've got Tindy.
Oh my
Bless
God,
her heart.
I'm trying to save my friend.
Yes, because he's got some kind of disorder that the first thing is you change your preferences. The next thing you know, your brain's leaking out through your nose. It's like, what? And then she puts on, and Rutherford's trying to be nice about it because he doesn't know what she's actually talking about. And she puts all of these little shock things on him, and keeps setting it off at random times because if she keeps it low or it doesn't change up the voltage or whatever, he'll get used to it. And then finally, he gets tired of it, rips all it off, and goes on his date from the with the lady from the first episode. And then Tindy shows up with a medical gun. That's what it is. It shoots medical splooge. And
oh my gosh,
starts firing at him. And then my favorite part, they get to that hallway and he puts up the force field so she can't get to him.
And the point she wants to cut out his brain.
Yeah, because she's going to cut out his brain to figure out what the problem is.
Oh my gosh.
And they get having this heart-to-heart conversation. Meanwhile, on the other side of the window of this corridor, Ransom is attacking the ship with his mouth. It's like, this is a nice, sweet image, but I'm kind of distracted by the giant head. And y'all don't care. That's what's funny.
Oh my
giant
gosh.
head of your commanding officer is attacking the ship. And you're just having this nice conversation
about your friendship.
About friendship. Oh
my gosh. Yeah, this is a good episode.
Yeah.
It's a good, be like, okay, let's get back into what we did at the end of season 1, which I'm still trying to remember how the end of season 1 ended. Just really brief. You just give me a good. Well, never mind.
Just take that home and watch. It's only 10 episodes.
That is true.
You got a week.
I got a
and a half.
A week and a half.
No, basically what happened is at the last episode that we watched, No Small Parts.
Yeah.
The Cerritos goes to answer a distress call from another Kali class ship.
That's right. Yeah.
The other Kali class ship has been pretty much destroyed by a Pac-led vessel, which Pac-leds up to this point in Star Trek were considered to be jokes. And there are still kind of jokes going forward from this, but they're actually a bit of a threat in this.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they go, the only way they can figure out the ship is getting hurt and destroyed. Captain Freeman gets injured and has to be left in sickbay, but she's still able to give orders.
Right.
So Mariner takes over for her on the bridge.
That's right.
Meanwhile, Rutherford, this entire episode, there's a running gag that he's found this new feature on it that changes his personality every time he resets it, but he can't get it back to normal.
Oh yeah.
And the entire time, he realizes, if we're going to take he figures out how to get a virus. The virus will be able to take down if it's done a certain way.
Yeah.
But most humans would not be able to program something, but he does know somebody who can. So he goes to the holodeck and gets Badgie to do it.
Oh yeah, Badgie.
And who might still feel a little hurt from his previous appearance on the episode.
Just a bit.
And gets it on there and says, you have to get on the ship to do it. So Rutherford runs to sickbay to report, and they're going to give it to the only episode she's appeared in so far, Peanut Hamper, the little exocomp, the little robot thing.
Yeah,
it's called an exocomp, and she says, because it seems like the mission would be tailor made for this thing, and she says, nope, I'm going to teleport myself out here because I don't want to deal with any of this crap.
Oh yeah, that's
right. She teleports away, and Rutherford says, well, I'm going to have to do it and get over there. And Shax says something to the effect of, you're not going over there alone. He grabs Rutherford and runs to the cargo bay to get on the runabout. and they get over to the Pac-led vessel. He gets it in there, and Badgie shows up again on the Mars. Says, "Yeah, because the virus gets uploaded to 98%, but won't continue going until after Rutherford is dead, because Badgie is feeling revengeful for his neck getting snapped in that episode."
Right.
And Shax pulls out, rips out his Rutherford's implant, throws Rutherford into the runabout, the shellcraft, and then pushes it out there, giving his final lines, "Hang in there, baby bear," which was actually the subtitle I used for the episode we reviewed this on.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, that was the final time he was going to show up on the show.
Okay.
And they get back, we find out, yes, Rutherford was able to be saved, and they got him a new implant, but he has lost a lot of his memory because of the implant. Mariner has taken as a, now that, everyone knows that she is, Mariner is Freeman's daughter, they've decided they're going to team up and be an unstoppable mommy-daughter team.
Yeah.
Doing things that officially Starfleet can't do, but she's going to let her do it. And of course, that's what leads to this, and that's why they kind of have to reverse it.
Yeah.
And Tendi is just Tendi.
Yeah.
And Boimler got the promotion to the Titan.
Yeah.
And Mariner wasn't happy about that.
No, of course.
And she definitely wasn't happy about that at the beginning of this episode. But yeah, go ahead and give that a watch. It's fun. It's only 10 episodes and it's quick.
I gotcha. And ever since we got a break next week.
got a break. You got time.
Yeah. All right. So good.
Yeah.
So
we now need to go to the next one.
Yeah.
Which is Kayshon, His Eyes Open, which was directed by Kim Arndt and written by Chris Kula. In this episode, our lower deckers have trouble bonding with Ensign Jet Manhaver, who has been assigned Boimler's bunk and shift duties. Meanwhile, we get a glimpse of Boimler's life on the USS Titan, which is more intense than he thought it would be. In this one, Fred Tatasciore is now, in this episode, voices Kerner Howes, the holographic recording of the guy who owned the station that they're on. Jonathan Frakes returns as Captain William T. Riker. Richard Fulcher plays the Pac-led leader. Robert Gilbert plays the Titan's chief engineer. Marcus Henderson is Ensign Jet Manhaver. Vanessa Marshall is the Titan's first officer. Jessica McKinnon returns as Barnes. Nolan North is a Carzil 6 miner. Ryan Stringer is the Titan's technical officer. Carl Tart in his first episode as Kayshon. And you only thought we got away from Shorty from Rapunzel, didn't you?
Oh, no.
Dr. Miglimo, the bird counselor, is voiced by Paul F. Tompkins.
Oh, crow.
I didn't realize that till I was doing the research for this.
Oh, no.
Trivia for this one. This is going to be a bit, so give me a minute. Items that are nods to other Star Trek stories that can be seen as part of the collection include the diorama showing the spear through the back, Abraham Lincoln skeleton, and the silicon life form from Star Trek the original series episode The Savage Curtain, the salt monster vampire from the original series episode The Man Trap, one of the addictive eyepiece games from the Star Trek Next Generation episode The Game, one of the Vulcan pugil sticks from the original series episode Amok Time, a box of wine from Chateau Picard, the visor worn by Data when he dealt poker, Riker's trombone, the photon tube Spock was buried in at the end of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and they found in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, one of the mind spheres from the original series episode Return to Tomorrow, Sulu's fencing foil from the original series episode The Naked Time, a Codiscot board, which was a game favored by Seven of Nine and Naomi Wildman on Star Trek Voyager, episode Infinite Regress, a pulse cannon from Star Trek Insurrection, the Terran Empire flag from the original series episode Mirror Mirror, and the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly, Picard's Kurlan Niskos given to him by Professor Galen in the original series episode The Chase, a Horta egg from the original series episode The Devil in the Dark, and the necklace Khan made out of a Starfleet insignia from a uniform belt buckle in Wrath of Khan.
Wow.
There was a lot of stuff. And there's one more thing. The giant skeleton wearing the tattered blue Starfleet uniform
was that?
belongs to the Spock clone named Spock 2 from the Star Trek animated series episode The Infinite Vulcan.
Wow.
That's a weird show, and I haven't got to that episode, and now I'm curious. The new security officer, Kayshon, is one of the children of Tama, or Temerians, which first appeared in the Next Generation episode, Darmok. Basically, they speak a language that the Universal Translator can't completely translate.
Okay.
It can get what they're saying into English, but because they mostly speak in idioms, a literal translation is not very helpful.
Yeah.
So, like when he says stuff like at the end when he says "Shaka" when the walls fell, that is him literally saying something that's the best Universal Translator can actually do by himself.
I gotcha.
So a lot of times he's actually speaking natively in English, or not natively in English, but he's actually speaking in English. But sometimes he'll revert back and speak in his native language, which gets translated in these weird idioms.
Yeah.
And that's actually an interesting episode to go watch.
Interesting.
In this, also at the end, as Boimler leaves Riker with his transporter clone, which is something that happened to Riker in Next Generation episode.
I caught that.
Riker instructs the computer to play Nightbird. Nightbird was a gag on Star Trek The Next Generation. It is a fictional composition that is never actually heard, but is said to be very complex. Troy takes great delight in Riker's inability to successfully play the song's solo portion on his trombone despite many years of practice.
Okay. That makes a little more sense.
Yes. And pause right here. Hang on. That's the wrong thing. Sorry, Deela. We got rated by Geek Devotions.
Nice.
He says dramatic raid. And then bird counselor? Yeah, bird counselor. He's a bird alien, and he's the counselor on the ship. And he said dramatic pause. And then lol, yes, you did. Yeah, so we are on the last episode of Star Trek Lower Decks that we're reviewing tonight, guys. We will be done here in just a minute.
Season 2,
episode 2. Kayshon, his eyes open.
And he gets turned into a puppet.
Which is hilarious in and of itself. Geek Devotions, you really don't want this bird brain as your counselor, but it's what they have. He first showed up in a season 1 episode where they literally are mocking every Star Trek movie.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, back to this. What are your thoughts on this episode, Jake?
This one was like, it was interesting. I like the idea that Mariner has be like she's missing Boimler, but she's like obviously missing him. And this new guy shows up, and it's just like he's by the books kind of guy.
Well, he's not entirely new. He actually appeared in the season 1 episode. There's something about Boimler where we find out Boimler had a girlfriend.
Oh,
but Jet Manhaver is essentially taking up all of her time while they're visiting because Boimler had some kind of weird parasite that made him more attractive somehow.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah. So he was the other man that he was getting jealous of.
Okay.
That's who that character is.
Yeah, so I like this dynamic between Mariner and something
Manhaver.
Manhaver. But there again, I am terrible with names, people.
Don't worry, you'll never have to. I don't think Manhaver shows up ever again after this.
Oh, okay. But I like the dynamic between these two characters because it's obviously Mariner. It's like be like you're just trying to steal the spotlight, and they're just like he's nailing everything about her. It's like no, you're doing the exact same thing. It's like no, I'm not. It's like yes, you are. It's great, and they're both trying to take control of the situation, which is not helping the situation at all. And when they have to go to this collector, the collector died all of a sudden, and now they have to help this other collector, like get rid of the like things that could hurt him in some capacity. And
there's a lot of dangerous things on that station.
And then it's like they're trying to remove things, and something happens, and it turns out the collector stole something. When he's been to be like, don't touch anything, don't touch the cases, and he winds up stealing this erotic helmet.
Let's not get too much into that.
No, I'm not.
Apparently, Kalis, not Kalis, was it Kalis?
Kalis, whatever.
Okay, it was Kalis. Kalis was essentially I'm not going to call him Klingon Jesus because that's not right.
Right.
But he's basically a major Klingon religious figure.
Oh, okay.
So that's essentially a religious item that
Ugh.
apparently he wore
Yeah.
when he had to make babies.
Yeah.
We'll just say.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. That makes more sense. But yeah, I like the dynamic between those two where it's they're fighting him on the show the entire time, and you can't lead,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more like, hey, why don't we just let the other two try to figure out what's going on? And you're talking to
Tindy and Rutherford.
Tindy and Rutherford. I like it because they're again, those two characters work very well together. They're both scientists, and they're trying to figure out like, oh, if we use this, we can do this and this. But overall, it's a good episode. It definitely when the Kayshon gets turned into a puppet.
Oh,
I love that. I was like, what in the world?
That was funny because it's like, oh, the new security officer got turned into a puppet. Well, he's right in line with all the great Starfleet security officers that we tend to call red shirts.
And he wasn't wearing a red shirt.
Well, that's because they didn't wear red shirts in that era.
Right.
But the original series, they all wore red shirts. That's why, they're the great, one of the great bits of philosophy that's ever come out of Star Trek is never go on an away team with wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
You'll be the one who dies.
Yeah, there's an episode where in the
2009 movie.
No, 2012 series where it's like Leonardo loves this series, but obviously it's a Star Trek ripoff.
Oh, on TMNT. Okay.
On TMNT. But it's so funny because like, there's one point where it's like this very obviously he's a blatant clone of William Shatner's character of Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so over the top, and you're like, yeah, these two guys overrun away mission and they're wearing red shirts. They go like, it's like, well, that's what they're designed to do. And it's just like, ouch. But I digress with that. Going back to an actual Star Trek episode. I just found it funny when he got turned into a puppet. And they got to make sure he's okay and he doesn't get destroyed. And it's so funny.
The part I thought was interesting connected to that because it leads to one of my favorite lines in this whole episode. Captain Freeman is trying to be better about giving her people space, so she's not checked in with the away team, despite the fact that she should have checked. She normally would have checked in 100 times now. She's trying to give Kayshon space to be, a good leading commander. Meanwhile, he's been a puppet for the past 2 hours as they're on the station. And they finally get to a point where they can actually, communicate with the Cerritos, and it's Tindy and Rutherford that are actually doing it because the other two are in the back. And Freeman says, "What the crap is going on?" And they say, "The ship is trying to collect us, Captain. Where's Kayshon?" And Tindy holds up the puppets and says, "Kayshon, when he became a puppet." And then Freeman says, "This is what hands off gets me? Well, never again." And that's just one of the two stories in this episode. We haven't talked about what Boimler's doing.
Oh my gosh, poor Boimler.
Thankfully, this is the last episode where we get these split stories, because obviously by the end of this, Boimler has come back to the Cerritos.
Or at least one of Boimler.
One of them, yes. But he's on this other mission, and he gets on this away team with these three other commandos who are they like being on the front lines and boots on the ground, those kind of heavy military type of people. And they're all saying, like, I don't know how Riker loves this stuff. I don't know how he could have hung out on the D with under Picard dealing with all this other boring stuff. And one of their points is like, no, I bet he loved that sort of stuff, because it's like he's going through all these exploration, talking about all the cool parts of it, and they're like blowing them off and everything. And by the end, they're stuck down in the middle of this mine. And he's saying, and they aren't wanting to do anything because they don't know what to do. And Boimler figures out what to do based on what he remembers of, the logs that Captain Riker would have had. and he says, you know what? I enjoy being in Starfleet because I get to explore, I get to see all this other cool stuff. It's not always about all this stuff y'all are talking about. And they all, of course, break down. Says, I what it was like, I just like to shoot phasers or something like
Yeah.
that. And
I got him because of science.
because of science, yes. And they get the other three beamed up, and of course that's when the ionization field comes back in.
Oh yeah.
And Boimler gets to go
Boimler.
through the same thing Riker did, where they beam him up. They try to beam him up, and only one of them gets up there, but then they find out, oh hey, the shuttlecraft's coming up. Well, that's odd. We didn't leave anyone on the surface, and it's the other Boimler, which is better than what Riker got in that episode, because he was left to rot on that. The other Riker was left on that planet for who knows how many years to live by himself. That's why he went and touched Stir Crazy. And became Thomas Riker, who later would go on to lead part of the terrorist organization, the Maquis, which is interesting. But anyway,
okay,
it's an interesting TNG DS9 episode. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Where he comes back for that, because you think it's going to be Riker, and it's not Riker. It's not Will Riker. It's Thomas Riker. But you don't know that for a good portion of that episode. But anyway, and then he's like, "Well, yeah, we can't have you both serve on the same ship. So, well, one of you is going to have to go back to the Cerritos."
Oh yeah.
and our Boimler, at least we assume it's our Boimler, subsource is thinking they would both take it.
Yeah.
And this is, no, I kind of just like it here.
Oh my gosh.
And gets along with Riker like they're the best buds.
Yeah.
And that's how we got Boimler back on the show with their
exactly.
Else.
And so our main cast is rejoicing. It's like, oh my gosh, we have Boimler back.
And poor man Haber just leaves him to it and leaves.
That's it.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of these reviews.
So. Mm-hmm.
You got anything to add before we leave on this, before we cut out?
No, I think of this. I enjoy these two episodes. I'm looking forward to even more Lower Decks, the insanity that goes on with this. And obviously, because we're taking a little bit of a break for a week because you're going to be out of town.
I'm not sure exactly the order I'm going to release these in.
Yeah.
So it may be next week when you hear another episode.
Okay.
But I think other than that, in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
We've been eating Gamera. Shell, teeth, eyes, flames, claws, breath, scales, fun.